What happened to me shouldn't happen to anyone, but I'm glad it did. The day everything changed started like any other, the sun shining down on my Connecticut mansion, a stark contrast to the darkness that loomed within. Robert Montgomery, a self-made millionaire, spent more time buried in work than with his daughter Charlotte, whose laughter had faded to silence after the tragic accident that stole her sight. I watched from a distance as another man, Marcus, a black construction worker, knelt beside her, gently feeding her lunch as she giggled, delighting in the conversation that flowed so easily between them. A surge of shame washed over me. How had I become the father who stood on the outside, while another stepped in to fill the void? Guilt gnawed at my heart as I grappled with a terrifying realization. My daughter finds solace in the arms of a stranger while I circled the drain of my own self-hate. Charlotte had expressed her feelings of abandonment to Marcus, but instead of confronting my failures, I watched in envy, cursing my inability to bridge the chasm that had opened between us. But guilt can forge unexpected alliances. The moment I discovered that Marcus and I had a common enemy, a doctor whose malpractice had potentially robbed my daughter of her sight, was when everything shifted. Suddenly, revenge morphed into a mission for redemption, propelling us from rivals to allies. Together, we sought justice, and in pursuing it, I rediscovered my own humanity, and Charlotte rediscovered her father. Sometimes the darkest paths lead to the light, and mine illuminated a future I had thought lost. Robert, can we talk? His heart raced as he approached Marcus, who was seated beneath a shady oak, feeding Charlotte a bite of her favorite pudding. Marcus looked up, a spoon poised midair. Sure, what's up? I've noticed how close you've gotten with my daughter. Robert's voice dripped with accusation. You think you can just come in here and play the hero, don't you? Marcus set the spoon down slowly, his face a mask of disbelief. I'm just trying to help her. She needs someone who understands. Understands what? Her plight? You don't know what it's like to be her father. Robert shot back, anger radiating off him like heat from pavement. You think because you face tragedy, that gives you a right to invoked. Marcus interrupted, his voice low and steady. I'm not trying to take anything from you. She's blind, Robert. She's lost. She needs kindness, not judgment, just like all of us. Robert gritted his teeth. You're a construction worker. You don't belong in this world. My world. I built this empire. Homophobic. On whose back? Look around. All that opulence, it's empty, Robert. Your daughter, she's crying out for you, but your walls are higher than you think. Marcus glanced toward Charlotte, whose head hung low, oblivious to the escalating tension. Stay away from her, Robert barked. And what will you do? Marcus stood, towering over Robert. Keep pretending to be a father? Because that's not working. Signs settled between as Robert's fists clenched. The power imbalance was palpable. But in that moment, it was Marcus who held the high ground, his truth slicing through Robert's defenses. He stood at the edge of the garden, hands clenched, the sumptuous blooms a cruel reminder of the life that flourished while his daughter withered. Robert Montgomery watched as Marcus knelt beside Charlotte, feeding her small bites of mashed fruit. That moment, a graceful exchange of warmth, felt like a knife twisting in his gut. Marcus's laughter floated through the air, a sound that felt foreign and unsettling against the sterile silence that cloaked Robert and Charlotte's home. He couldn't bear it, the ease with which Marcus connected with his daughter, while he stumbled through hollow attempts at conversation. Each time he returned home late, buried in work, guilt gnawed at him like a hungry animal. Earlier that day, Charlotte had broken down, her voice trembling as she confided in Marcus about her fears of never seeing the world again. Robert's heart sank, knowing he was the cause of her sadness, but unable to bridge the chasm he dug with years of emotional neglect. He recalled the accusatory silence that surrounded their home, the way she flinched at his touch, how she now spent more time with Marcus than with him. Suddenly, the weight of her despair became too much. Anger surged through him, not at Charlotte, but at himself, at his apathy, at Marcus for making what he couldn't. The garden that had once signified his domain felt like a prison, and as Charlotte beamed up at Marcus, a pivotal moment formed in Robert's mind. The pain of his isolation became unbearable, cracking open the hidden resolve within him. He had to change, No more running, no more silent suffering. Something had to give. Robert stood at the edge of his elaborate garden, watching Charlotte laugh with Marcus. The sight felt like a dagger to his chest. His pride faltered, and for the first time in years, he sensed the cracks in his emotional armor. "Dad," Charlotte called, her voice brimming with joy. "Marcus just told me about how he built bridges. Can you believe that?" "Yeah, I saw," Robert replied, his tone unexpectedly steadier. "He's good with you." Marcus met Robert's gaze without flinching. "Your daughter's got a spirit that could light up the darkest days," he stated calmly, a hint of challenge in his voice. "Why don't you teach me how to build bridges too?" Robert surprised himself with the question. Marcus raised an eyebrow, a smile creeping onto his face. "Let's start with an understanding. You've got to show her you care first." Robert felt his heart race, not with anger, but with clarity. "I think I can do that." That evening, Robert found Charlotte playing with her old toys. Instead of retreating to his office, he sat beside her. "Want to tell me about your favorite game?" he asked softly. Charlotte turned, her blind eyes sparkling with surprise. "You want to play?" "Yeah," he said, resolved. "Let's play." 8:63 as they began, Robert felt an unfamiliar warmth reclaiming the space between them. Each moment became a small victory. His heart was shifting, and it felt right, like a wood board rising under pressure, ready to support something greater. Disillusioned in the days that followed, he began to collaborate with Marcus, who fleshed out strategies while Robert eased his guilt through action. Each late-night discussion brought a resurgence of confidence and purpose. They were fighting for their daughters, together. Glimpses of a brighter future sparked courage in Robert's once dim spirit. Under the bright light of the courtroom, Robert Montgomery stood beside Marcus, their anxiety palpable. The air crackled with anticipation as Dr. Bennett shifted nervously in his seat, the weight of the evidence against him growing more oppressive with each passing minute. As the judge called the proceedings to order, Marcus leaned closer to Robert. "We've come too far for this to fail," he whispered, a blend of hope and fear reflected in his eyes. Robert squeezed his shoulder, silently acknowledging their shared determination. The prosecutor's voice rang clear, detailing the string of malpractice claims against Dr. Bennett. Photographs of shattered families flashed on the screen. Parents like Robert, who had trusted him with their children's futures, only to watch despair take root in their lives. The room felt alive with emotion, a palpable weight pushing down on Dr. Bennett, who began to sweat under the glaring spotlight of truth. In the gallery, Charlotte sat with her head held high, her fingers dancing on the cool surface of her cane. For the first time since the accident, she felt hope, not just for herself, but for the bond rekindled between her father and Marcus. Then came the moment of reckoning. The prosecutor introduced expert testimonies, revealing that Charlotte's condition was indeed treatable. A stark contrast to the hopeless diagnosis Dr. Bennett had pronounced. Gasps erupted from the audience, while Robert stood motionless, his heart racing. The tables had turned, and the man who had wielded power over their lives was now just a suspect in a tragic tale of betrayal. As the jury filed in with their verdict, Robert caught Marcus's eye. Silent communication flowed between them. Gratitude, relief. Relief overshadowed by the anger of what they had endured. The foreman's voice broke the tension, declaring, "We find the defendant guilty." Courtroom before cheers erupted. Charlotte's face lit with joy, tears glistening in her eyes as Robert absorbed the flood of relief. Dr. Bennett's face fell, color draining, leaving him a shell of the confident surgeon he once portrayed. In that instant, Robert felt unshackled from the guilt that had consumed him. Marcus clasped Robert's arm in mutual understanding. This was their victory, not just an exposed fraud, but the forging of a new life for their daughters. They had confronted darkness together and emerged into the light, breathing in hope and purpose. As they left the courtroom, Robert's heart filled with a quiet triumph, and he didn't look back. The path forward was bright, and for the first time, he knew he wouldn't walk it alone. Forbidden as I sit here, watching Charlotte play in the garden under a soft sunset, I can't help but reflect on the tumultuous journey that brought us to this moment. Just a few months ago, I was trapped in a world defined by wealth, but devoid of true connection. The bond she formed with Marcus sparked something in me, a realization of how blind I had been to her needs, both emotional and physical. This introspection filled me with a mix of shame and gratitude, as it pushed me to confront my own demons. Marcus not only opened my eyes to the value of compassion, but also taught me what it means to be a father. Together, we challenged a system that had wronged our daughters, forging a friendship built on shared struggles and the pursuit of justice. Now, as I watch them flourish alongside each other, I ask you, do you think I went too far in pursuing revenge against Dr. Bennett? What would you have done in my shoes? Have you ever had someone treat you like that? I invite you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's explore the boundaries of right and wrong, the power of transformation, and the importance of standing up for those we love.